Welcome to the Filmsteins, a double-featured podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier will grant the ability to request films and further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmsteins, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience.
They're an experience.
All around you. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmsteins. Thank you guys for joining us today. Today I'm joined by my disobedient friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
Remember, you can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmsteins. Some recent episodes include Godzilla x Kong, 2005's King Kong, 21 Jump Street, Superbad, Monkey Man, and The Green Knight. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas over on our Patreon as well. Come subscribe, come request a movie, come write in. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much.
Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at hempvillecbd.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
But today we're discussing Alex Garland's dubious 2024 film, Civil War. I must say, right off the top, that I was excited to see this film. I'm a big fan of Annihilation. I've never seen Ex Machina, but Men was not good, so we were kind of on this downhill trajectory with Alex here. And I must say, I think this film shares much more in common with Men than his other two films.
Damn.
And I just wanted to start off by saying that I can't tell if Alex is presenting us a little bit of a comedy with these last two films of his, Civil War and Men. Men, I think it's very clear he's making fun of how people view men. Some people, of course, right? Here is Alex Garland making fun of this self-serving journalist. But I will also say this movie is spineless, is maybe a little afraid to say anything at all, and frankly ends on a completely idiotic note. I was looking forward to this movie. I'm still a little high on it. There's some fun elements here. Jesse Plemons, I wish he could have just been the main character. That would have been cool. He could have just gone around killing all of the minorities and non-Americans.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too mad at that.
This movie seemed to posit the question of proving the importance of journalism, maybe? That's kind of what I felt like it was trying to get to, but I'm having a hard time getting anything coherent out of this movie, maybe you could say. I must say I want to like it more than I do. I think putting the states at odds with one another is an awesome premise. Let us not forget there was this HBO show in the works about what if the South won the Civil War. That would have been awesome. I think it got canceled because of God knows what. Sounds cool, right?
That sounds awesome.
So I'm really having a hard time filing this movie away, and I hope we can get some work done on that here today. I'm very curious how you feel about Civil War.
I think I'm right there with you. I really liked the movie as an experience. It was super suspenseful and very tension building, and it was something different. You know, it's not a World War II situation. It's like it's almost a complete different timeline of the United States, because I think there's a few references to things that never happened, but I don't know. I'm not a big history buff. I know a little bit of my U.S. history, but as much as, you know, they teach you in school throughout your years, which I will say is still a lot because the U.S. is so relatively young. But whatever, I don't think it's supposed to take place in the future, so to say. But I'm right there with you. I think there's something he's trying to say here about how shooting with a camera is just as powerful as shooting with a gun. They make all these references. I mean, you have these like snipers on the ground shooting their gun. I don't know gun terms either. And then you have kind of a mimic of them doing that with the camera. She's also on the ground shooting whatever shot, whatever picture. And there's other sections where as one of the characters is taking a picture, it also looks like they could be shooting a gun. So I think there's something very obvious there. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, what Alex is trying to say here. I'm not clear on the stance he's taking with this, or if he's even taking one. Maybe he's not, and this is just supposed to be super neutral, which I also don't understand, and that might be where some of that spinelessness comes in, of not fully committing or whatever. And I don't know, it's like something is missing here. Some of that flavor of dystopian films is definitely missing here. Dystopian films typically have some kind of oppressed government or some kind of surveillance or some kind of injustice of power or something along the lines of the human spirit as well. And we're not really seeing any of those tropey things, which, you know, again, they don't have to be, but if it's not tropey, then what is it? What else you got?
Well, first of all, I definitely think this is like a Tomorrow War situation. I think the presence of Nick Offerman helps justify that in a fun way because of Trump's cadence. You know, Trump probably has the most famous way of speaking out of every politician to ever live now.
That is true.
And Nick Offerman shares a kind of similar iconic cadence. Not that he sounds like Trump, but he's very recognizable by voice. So I think that parallel is very intentional. And of the people who seem to hate Trump for one thing or another, seem to always get to the point that he was a tyrant, that he was going to overthrow the Constitution and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, in this movie that, you know, feels like is what is happening.
Well, he's taken a third term, right? So that automatically overthrows the 22nd Amendment or whatever it is.
So Alex is starting to paint this picture that's very familiar and like rooted in the back of a lot of people's minds of like for what's maybe to come in America's future. So it has the backbone of being something very powerful, potentially. And we go through this story through the lens, excuse the pun, of journalists. Or journalists, more like it.
Damn.
I like the perspective. It's the explicit perspective of one of the three sides. Left, middle, right? So the potential here definitely speaks to me. And they have this whole initiative of getting to Washington, D.C. before other folks, before something breaks out and happens, and they are late. Things accelerate past their expectation, and they want to interview the president before he's taken out.
Yeah.
And you're right. Along the way, we consistently see this parallel between guns and cameras. And as someone who believes in the power of the spoken language, the written language, the visual language, sure, we can get a lot of mileage out of something like a photojournalist doing their work. Just like you can get a lot of mileage out of killing your dictator president. But there is a time and place for it, right? If someone's, this is maybe not a great example, but if someone's breaking into your house, are you going to photograph them? Or are you going to shoot their fucking head off?
I don't know. You might do both. We all have house cameras now that's going to take a picture of him and you're going to exploit his ass.
Sure, there might be some kind of passive photography that happens. But
you
you're not going to grab your camera.
Yeah, you wouldn't immediately pull out your phone. You're going to immediately defend yourself somehow, yeah.
Now, the reverse of something like that is when you have this very suspicious, paranoid person getting pulled over by the cops or having some kind of confrontation with a Karen, you whip out your camera because it's expected to not be so confrontational that you need to defend yourself, right? So there's a time and place for it, and I do admire the risk of photojournalists and investigators trying to get their boots on the ground and capture something really explicit, because a lot of times photographs go great with really great written pieces, right? Can make things very powerful, but guns and cameras really aren't used in the same way. So I then start to think, okay, Alex is making fun of how powerful journalists think they are. We then have journalists who get this rush off of doing X, Y, and Z with these people who are at odds with one another, right? Of course you would in journaling, right? But they make a point in the movie of their rush that comes along with it. Like, okay, that's strange to come out of these individuals. And then we have Sammy, who's like the only sensible fucking person in the whole movie. And they just reject everything he says. He's too old. He can't run. Stay in the car.
Yeah, and part of me was trying to find something in that, because very obvious here in the car, we have 3 generations of journalists. We have Jesse, who's our youngest, Lee and Joel, who are maybe in their late 30s, mid 40s. I don't know how old they're supposed to be. And then we have Sammy, who's obviously old. He's an old fart. And just trying to place their characteristics about how they go about taking pictures and inserting themselves in situations. Sammy is older. He's more guarded now. He's more grounded. He's not going to Washington, D.C. to try to get this next big picture. He's going to wherever he's going to, Charlottesville or whatever, to maybe get enough to have a story out there that's somewhat truthful. And then we have Lee and Joel, which they're not exactly the same characteristics. They might be the same in age, around the same in age, but I feel like Joel's more like the Jesse, maybe sees himself a little younger or acts a little younger. Because Lee is, I don't know, I think she's just trying to remain as like neutral and objective as she can.
I think she's a little detached.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And then we have Jesse and kind of Joel, who are more of the risk takers. They're the ones getting high off the rush. They're the ones getting high off the risk. They're the ones with the adrenaline and whatnot. You know, you can see them smiling to each other as they're fucking being blown up. You know, people are dying around them and they just kind of grin to each other like, yeah, this is fun. So I don't know if there was something there trying to say about generations or just specifically journalists. I don't know. Because in a way, we're all journalists nowadays with social media. We all have a camera ready to go at any moment.
Damn, way to deflate a whole profession.
I mean, I'm just saying here. Can we all take a picture? Yeah, we can. Especially like Jessie. Oh my god, like her pictures were not super great, except maybe 1 or 2. You know, we can all take 30 pictures and find a good one. But whatever, that's not what I'm trying to say here. And something about me feels like if Lee would have survived at the end, if she would have jumped into that next stage with Sammy, into learning that maybe you can't be so objective anymore. Maybe you can't be like that anymore. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of the funny thing, right? She's at this point in her life, and America's at this point in its life that there isn't this necessity for something so, I don't know, academic. You can be neutral without being as cold as Lee is. She doesn't seem to give a shit about others or even have really a belief in the matter. She just wants to get the good photo. She wants the good story. She wants the traffic. For what? I don't know. What outlet? I'm sure she's not really getting paid for any of this. Not that money's even worth anything in this world.
Well, I think she just wants to get people talking.
What does she have to say to initiate that? A photo is not going to do that.
Yeah, that's all she has to say.
And then we have Joel.
Which I think is what this movie is trying to say too.
Exactly what?
I don't know just how beautiful this movie could look at certain points, as if you were taking a picture and maybe trying to say something to get you talking, to start a conversation. Because Lee says at one point when she's getting on to Jesse when Jesse's asking herself, maybe I should have told that guy not to kill him, not to shoot him. And, she's just talking to herself about these things. And she's like, you can't start asking yourself those questions. Once you start asking, you can't stop. All we can do is record it so other people ask the questions. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
That's fair. But correct me if I'm wrong, but that sort of defeats some of the fundamentals of journalism. Journalists ask the questions. They don't always answer them, but journalism exposes the situation, which doesn't involve just voyeuristically being there and capturing what you see.
Well, I think it does, in a way. I think they're just there to report what they see and try to get you to think about it, to think about what they see.
Again, I feel like that defeats the whole purpose of journalism, because if you provide this completely neutral information, especially if it's just photos, your audience is going to form whatever story they already have. The narrative is just going to be furthered in their own mind. You're not presenting an argument. You're not presenting investigative materials. There's no evidence for one thing or another. It's just, in this case, death, right? And it really runs home with me when Joel, at the very end, right before they execute Nick Offerman, the president, he asks something like, do you have any final words to say or something? And the president says, don't kill me. And then he's like explicitly cool with that. He's like, oh, that will do. It's like, what? Are you fucking retarded?
That's just exposing the president.
To me, it's exposing Joel and his little band of fools into being completely incompetent. And then right before that, we see Lee die for nothing. So Jesse can get that photo.
I mean, she dies to protect Jesse, who's obviously reckless. Maybe she wanted to die for something.
She's
I don't
dumb.
know.
She's not just reckless. This is at least the second time she put herself in death's way, not just harm.
Yeah, multiple times throughout the film. When she's jumping through from car to car, when she's over there by Jesse Plemons' character. And I mean, throughout the whole last scene, she's constantly being pulled back by all those soldier dudes.
This film makes journalists look pretty bad, right?
Bad in what way?
Foolish, incompetent.
At least just Jesse.
Well, we don't get any sense of thought in the other two either.
That's true. That's true. Because we still have, Sammy's character who's, thank God, there to confuse us more. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I am confused on that point where the most sensible character, the most thoughtful character, the most experienced and admirable character, the guy who asks the questions, the only guy who asks the questions. When the movie opens up, he gets in the car, he's talking to Joel. He's like, what are you going to ask? And then Sammy's like, are you going to ask this, this, or this? And Joel's like, yeah, something like that. It's like, okay. I mean, I don't know what you would ask President Nick Offerman right before he's going to be executed, but he's cool with his answer. Explicitly, right? Am I wrong? He's like, that will do. But he's like kind of happy about it.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
And this is where I think that whole generational divide thing is maybe a point, because Joel is still like Jesse in a lot of ways. He's still jumping into that line of fire. He's still risking everything.
He thinks he won.
Yeah.
He thinks he got something out of it because he was present.
Just like Jesse thinks she probably has the best shot in the world.
Because she caught Lee dying?
Because she caught Lee dying.
It's kind of funny how sterile that is when Lee is the detached character.
Yeah. I agree. So that's why to me, I'm like, what is he trying to say here? He's trying to say something here with those three different generations. I know he is. I don't know what though. Like, is Lee jumping into the gunfire to save Jesse means that she grew up? Like, she's learning something. She's not so sterile anymore, and she kind of maybe like this kid, maybe a maternal figure. I don't know.
Does it feel a little bit like a comedy, a satire, something that's kind of making fun to you?
No, it felt so serious.
Because that's another thing is it feels like it's supposed to be kind of poking fun, but it takes itself super serious. We have this character, Lee Miller, who's named after the actual famous Lee Miller. We have this focus on death. We have these parallels between cameras and guns.
I will say, though, maybe that scene at the boutique where they're trying on clothes, and which I don't really know what to make of that scene, maybe that could bring in some of that satire to it. There's these people living here when there's a war going on, and they're pretending like nothing's going on. But in reality, they do have snipers and stuff all up in the sky. And then Lee tries on a dress for funsies. I don't know exactly how to place that scene, but I could see that scene kind of being the humor, the comedic relief scene. I don't know.
It reminds me a lot of, Alex Garland's Men, where we have these instances of these creepy men doing creepy things. I think half of them are naked even. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, all I know is I was very disturbed.
And it felt like after every vignette, we would have this title card come up and say, Men. It's like, okay. And it felt like we were kind of making fun of the people who feel that way about men.
I could see that more
In that
than here.
I can see, I feel you, because one, that movie's a little bit more surrealistic, so it's doesn't place you in any sensible, grounded area like this does. This is a very grounded movie. This is hardly, if at all, sci-fi or even dystopian. Like, it feels like Tomorrow's War kind of thing here in America. And there's no doubt this focus across the last probably decade or so of journalists being journalists, just completely incompetent, agenda-driven, clickbaity predators. And so challenging anything to do with journalists moving about in a world like this immediately becomes a statement of some sort. Especially Alex Garland, I think he's a
statement guy.
He's a statement kind of guy, which is cool. I'm always going to look forward to his movies, no doubt. This and Men have not taken anything away from that because of just the style and like subtext, I guess.
Yeah, the what the fuckness.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the future of Alex Garland stuff, but I guess it's kind of funny because it's challenging in a frustrating way where I just can't read exactly anything completely coherent, I guess. There's this point in the movie where I think you brought it up, like Lee and them are laying around in that park Christmas area, and they see those two guys sniping someone in a house. It's probably my second favorite scene, just because we get this real explicit indication of people not caring that they're press. Because the guys were like, I think they said to them like, we're press, and the two sniper guys were like, all right, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, he showed him his badge, and he's like, we're press, and he's like, yeah, like I didn't see it on the side of your fucking truck.
Yeah. Which I like that because it helps justify this self-serving, kind of overly serious attitude that comes with that kind of person, the journalist, thinking they're above everyone or above certain people, and then that just being completely deflated. That's a funny scene, actually, for me. I laughed, I think, out loud. And then we see that there is no explicit allegiance, especially with these two. And I think that was an obvious enough through line by not explicitly telling us anywhere else who versus who is, killing each other. And then we see that again with Jesse Plemons' character, where he's just pro-America.
Yeah.
Which I love. Which the Jesse Plemons scene is definitely my favorite. Same. But it starts with such trash. It's probably the worst part of the movie. We, see these guys coming up on Lee and them. They have this, fun interaction and stuff. It's cute and everything. And it just plays up that like journalists are just living in their own world or something. I don't know. It's bizarre. But okay, they trade seats. Jesse goes with the other guy, the guy from Hong Kong. Oh no, we don't even get anything from him, do we? The
No,
Hong Kong guy's
yeah.
friend.
The driver of the other car, we don't get anything from him. But I think it's implied that they're both.
Yeah, okay. They separate, they get lost. Jesse Plemons enters the fold. And then we immediately kill the two Chinese dudes. It's like, that was weird. They have been here for 3 minutes and we immediately execute them? I mean, it's the scene itself, out of context, is very cool. It's very intense. Jesse Plemons is awesome.
Yeah, he's an awesome looking guy. And then giving him those red glasses.
I know. It's chilling.
Bold choice. Bold, good choice.
And the swimming pool of dead bodies, It's awesome. It's very easily the best part of the movie. It's just, I hate that the setup was literally the worst part of the movie, at least in retrospect when you see the complete section play out.
Why did that second guy not lie?
I know, yeah.
That kind of bugged me a little. Like, why didn't he just say any random state?
Yeah, based off the map, any state probably would have flown with Jesse Plemons' character.
Yeah.
As long as you're American.
Joel said Florida, the other two said Colorado and Missouri, I think.
And they're not part of the same territory either.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, this is cool. He has his own belief system. He is not aligned with the map that was provided to us before the movie came out, which I love because it helps build up this fun case, actually, of just trying to defend yourself and doing whatever it takes to protect what you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
As much as fucked up as it was, it's still very nice.
That's funny that this character's the only one that we got some depth to. I would have said, "Oh, I'm from Florida too."
Yeah, wherever they were friends, so wherever Joel was from, I'm from.
Yes, exactly.
And then we land on this strange ending where the Western forces are storming Washington, D.C., completely murking them, man. They are having their way. It's an awesome bit. It's very fun. And this may just be a personal thing too, but it feels like there is some finality to it where the Western forces have won. And that it just may be me, like I said, but I would imagine this is just the beginning. Because all the different territories, they're doing their own thing. They've got it figured out. God knows how many people you have like Jesse Plemons and the two sniper guys doing their own thing, right? It felt like there was kind of a disingenuous feeling of finality there on the back of idiotic journalists. It was just like, what the fuck is this? It was out of context. It's fun, like I said, but it sucked.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to make sense of that, especially because we have our journalists here with the Western force. Like, they're buddies. Like, they've already picked a side. And then they win. And typically wins usually mean that they're the good guys, right?
Yeah, it's definitely implied.
So, and then especially with that photo at the end, that final photo that Jesse took, which is a little disturbing because it's not a happy situation. It's not a good situation to be in, but the way that not only Joel is looking at the camera, but the other Western people are looking at the camera, it's kind of eerie. So it's not definitive of the emotion I'm supposed to get at the end of this.
And it's even stranger because earlier in the movie we see like civilian type folk shooting at military type folk. They might have been Western forces, I'm not sure, but it kind of starts to create this conflict of who to root for. Not necessarily a bad thing. That's the start of something maybe really good, is there's not a good guy in this. But again, they end on the Western forces doing something, what feels like it's a kind of gallant effort.
Yeah.
We're storming the Capitol. I don't know, it's bizarre.
It's weird. I agree.
I really just may not be an Alex Garland fan. It's funny enough. And doesn't Sammy die after the Jesse Plemons incident?
Yeah, that's where he theoretically got shot.
For nothing. Dies for nothing.
Which I still don't understand how he got shot, where he got shot.
Yeah.
Didn't make sense to me. But we watched it at the movie theater, so maybe I thought I just blinked for a second. I can't really rewind.
Yeah.
So that part was bizarre to me. And that he even had to die was such a waste. But then it's almost like Lee having to die for Jesse is also such a waste for this risk-taking generation.
Was Jesse the audience surrogate?
I don't know. I feel like we got more of her than the other characters. She talked more. She was a rookie. So part of me thinks yes. Because I don't think Lee is our audience surrogate. And Joel and Sammy are definitely not.
Or is it one of these situations where you find yourself in one of the 4 characters?
I don't know. Is it a choose your own adventure movie?
The journalists will have you believe that probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Because I also think that there's something else he's trying to say with Jesse's parents and Lee's parents and how they're remaining kind of isolationists and just bought farms and they're pretending like nothing exists and they're just living on their own little world. And Joel basically getting kind of pissed at that girl at the boutique that's also remaining to be like, I don't know, man, I'm just living my own life here. Like we're gonna pretend like nothing's gonna change for us. Because what can we do?
That made me think about how that certain agenda-driven journalists lives just to spread their gospel, to make you seem crazy for not being concerned about the same things they are.
Right. So is that what Alex Garland is trying to say here too? Is he Joel in that situation, getting us to wake up and do something about something and don't be that person in the farm?
See, that's such a funny thing because that's just another part that makes me feel like Alex is pulling a fast one. He knows those funny journalists.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Because there's also nothing wrong with wanting to survive.
It's a bizarre movie.
It's a bizarre movie.
Is it for Democrat or Republican? Does it lean one way or the other overall?
I don't think it does. And if it does, it's not obvious to me and shoved down my face, which I at least appreciate.
I ask because I saw several people say that this is a movie for both sides. Some kumbaya shit of, we can watch this movie together.
That's hilarious.
Like, why is that into your mind? Really? I can't.
Yeah, I saw some people justifying it that way as well, with Texas and California being the 2 states that are the Western force. So if they can, why can't we?
That's funny. That just
like what
starts to justify the finality of our end here and how they are the good guys. They figured it out. All right. Again, it's kind of funny, isn't it? It takes itself so serious that it's hard to continuously laugh. But a lot of, darker humor, you're like, it's a lot of like, oh shit kind of thing. You're not laughing, you're just grinning along.
But there's usually something or a character or it's just this one thing that, I don't know, confirms it in your mind that it is.
I think it's that surrealistic thing a lot of times where it takes it out of our reality and just makes it fun in some way or another. Like Men. Men's not a good movie, I would say, but it does take this element of creepy men and have fun with it, and it's like, okay, it's kind of fun, but it's movie kind of sucks still. But
yeah,
I don't know either, man.
Do you think it was missing an explanation on why this is even happening in the first place?
It's really funny that you ask that because I was talking to some people before seeing the movie, and that was the question I really had before going to see it, before going to the theater, was there's got to be some kind of exposition of like what happened. And of course there wasn't. Should there have been? Yes. But it would have helped pick sides, I think, a little bit, which it would have helped pick sides in the real world a little too much. We can pick sides in the movies because Texas and California will never team up, right? So it doesn't have a lot of grit and teeth, right? It was a missed opportunity, for sure. Who knows what it would have done to the tone of the movie? Do you think it would have helped?
I'm not sure. I think it would have helped me maybe understand why we're even supposed to care that this is happening. It's like a story about journalists being thrown into a civil war. Like, the two weren't really related. Like, okay, you made me see things through the journalist's point of view, through their cameras, why I should care about them, but now why should I care that the US is at this state? But again, I don't know if that would have helped. I just know it was a big concern for people in reviews, saying like, I think it's missing that for sure.
And I must say, I appreciate just dropping us in the deep end of this has been going on. People are probably at a point where they're not even sure why everything's still happening the way it is. So I appreciate some of that. But I totally get the marriage of something like a civil war, a very violent war, and journalists. And part of me feels like there may have been some kind of manipulation act at a certain generation of people who grew up watching the imagery on TV during the Vietnam War. Because the common people had never seen anything like that on TV. People coming home from school seeing all kinds of crazy shit.
That's crazy.
Which is definitely one way to pull something out of someone, right?
That's why I don't get on Twitter.
You don't want to see the bombings in Gaza?
No. I'm that person that went to the farm to go live by themselves with my 2 cats.
I don't know, man. It has a hard time sticking any landing. Not even sure if it ever took the leap. Alex Garland is maybe a little bit of a coward.
I don't know. I think he just didn't know.
He's either making fun of journalists or he's a coward. In my head. Death of the author, my friend. This is how I see you now.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think he placed him in the wrong movie.
I wish Sammy was our main character if we were going to have journalists be the focal point.
Yeah.
But really, I want Jesse Plemons,
Yes.
with his red sunglasses.
Yes. I heard that they originally had another guy going to play that role, but last minute stuff happened. And then I think Jesse Plemons is married.
Yeah, to Kirsten Dunst. Yeah.
Yes. So she was like, "You want to just do this real quick?" And he was like, "Sure," and then fucking stole the show.
Yeah.
I didn't fact check that, but that's what I heard. Which, if it's true, that's hilarious.
Well, man, thank you for watching this movie with me and talking about it here today.
You're welcome.
Do you have a budget guess for me?
My budget guess is $70 million. Especially since I think they shot at those places. And
definitely a lot of it for sure, yeah.
And definitely a lot of traveling. There was a lot going on. I'm not sure how long this movie was. I don't think it was too long. But there was a lot. I don't know how you get that many people, that many uniforms, that many tanks, that many cars.
That's fair.
So it looked expensive to me.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny when they pulled up on that military base and Sammy was in the process of dying and they had that coffin ready for him.
I know.
So it was kind of fun. Well, it says here that it was $50 million.
Okay.
Not bad.
Not bad.
And I think it's only been in theaters for a week or so. And it's gone on to make $30 million.
Okay.
So it's probably on track to do okay. I'm sure A24 is not expecting, too much. And before I forget, I just wanted to say, I thought Jesse was like 14 years old when the movie started off.
That's funny.
And the screenshots I saw were the very beginning with her in the crowd, the camera and stuff. I thought she was a child. And then someone says that she's like 22 or something like that, 23.
Yeah, 23.
I was like, what the fuck? I was like, okay, some people look young, that's fine. Well, over on Letterboxd with 142,000 people, where are they at? Those are not the people who went to the movies. They gave it a 3.7.
3.7?
That's way too fucking high.
Yeah, agreed. I'm giving it a 2.
For such a toothless, cowardly movie. 3.7? Come on. I walked out of the theater 2.5. Thinking about it, talking about it here today, I'm definitely leaning towards the 2 side more rather than the 3. But I can't place my feelings exactly. I'm going to need a few more days, I think. But yeah, it's a movie about a civil war, I guess.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nick Offerman. He can just sit there and talk. He doesn't really need to be performative at all. You know what I'm saying?
I guess. He was on screen for like 5 minutes.
But thanks again for watching this movie with me, and thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Filmistines. Remember, we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on patreon.com/Filmistines, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, rest in peace, Google Podcasts. You will be missed. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon as well. Come subscribe for $5. Come request a movie. Come request Men. See what happens. I'll watch it. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
I won't watch it. Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching, keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmistines, signing off.